What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Rosecraft Blades Nolichucky Jack. Now, this is part of the Lefty passaround group. It came in with a package of the Nolichucky Jack, as well as the Real Steel Pathfinder FFG, which you guys will see in the next video. So yeah, I've had this in for about a month or so, and as far as slip joints go, I definitely like this one more than, I believe it was the Briar Patch Jack from Rosecraft that I did a review on, I think last month or the month before. It was the one with the two different blades on it. This one is much thinner, much more, streamlined, sort of my speed. So just a really nice pattern. And overall, I really like the knife. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. So again, this is the Nolichucky Jack from Rosecraft Blades. I will leave a link to Rosecraft Blades website down below. This version is currently, out of stock, but you guys can sign up on their email listing and they will notify you whenever it is back in stock. So the material here on the handle scales are a vintage moss brown bone, which is interesting. You guys can see it has some, nice reflective qualities there with the, I'm losing my train of thought, but the word is not coming to my mind. But nice brown. You guys can see the specks of kind of black in there. Of course, the shield is, on there per usual, as well as the pins going through. There you can get a better close-up of it. But it's a spear point D2 blade. Rosecraft there on the side. D2. D2 is their standard steel for all of their slip joint models. I don't have a qualm with that, especially for the price point. And D2 is as much as D2 is kind of talked down upon these days and like not really regarded as a good steel, it's still a good working steel, and for a slip joint, it's going to take the abuse, it's going to take everything you can throw at it. So it's vintage moss brown bone handle scales with brushed steel bolsters, steel liners, nickel silver pins, and the stainless steel rosebud shield. Overall is 7 inches, weighs just 3 ounces, and if you close it, it is 4 inches closed. Has a pretty solid action, which we will touch on later. The Nolichucky Jack is a standard jack pattern inspired by a very old IXL pattern, which I am not super duper familiar with. I'm not really versed in the world of traditionals, so I apologize. But that is just what they have there on the website. So as far as materials go, and as far as my my categorization and my rating, you guys know it takes a lot to not get a 5 in the materials category for me. So it's an easy 5. D2 steel. Really like the blade shape. You have a nice spear point with kind of a nice little bit of a belly out there. I really like the vintage moss bone handle. Of course, the the classic rosebud shield and the bolsters and the silver nickel pins. All in all, easy 5. Next up, we are going to talk about aesthetic. Now, I'm not super duper versed in the world of traditionals. I don't have a whole lot. The only, and it's a modern traditional. I have a Venom Jack from Jack Wolf Knives. I've been wanting to get kind of into Great Eastern cutlery and stuff like that because they are from, they're made like 20 minutes from where I grew up, which I think is really cool, and I would love to own a piece or two from that line. So I kind of want to get into those at some point, and I am going to be going, which I think I've mentioned before, to the Finger Lakes here, less than a month, beginning of August, and we'll be going right up through Bradford, Pennsylvania, which is where case knives are made. I might pick up a traditional from there. I don't really know, what I'm planning on getting, but I'm going to look at some of their new, modern folders, and I'm also going to look at some of their, traditional stuff and maybe see if I like something from them. So as far as, aesthetic goes and everything like that, even though I am not, big into that world, I can still appreciate when a slip joint looks good, and I think this one does. I love the way, the spear point blade looks. Again, love that, vintage moss bone handle material. I really like kind of when knives have this like, when the blade isn't just like this, when it kind of has a little bit of curvature to it. I really tend to like that from an aesthetic standpoint. It's pretty thin overall, not too big. It's pretty thin through here as well. So as far as aesthetic goes, I'm going to follow that 5 up with another 5. I think it's a really good looking knife, and I think Rosecraft has a pretty good model on their hands here. And again, they're just pulling traditional models from years ago, and they're remaking them with a little bit updated materials, but also still saying more traditional than per se Vosteed, or I keep saying Vosteed, Jack Wolf with their upgraded materials and things like that. So it's kind of, it is a modern traditional, but it's also not a modern traditional, if that makes sense. But as far as that goes, 5 out of 5 on the aesthetic. Next up is the action. You guys know I am not the biggest fan of having to use a nail nick. I can just pull it out with my finger without having to use a nail nick, but I don't like using them because I just feel like they're going to rip my fingernail off. I have also the Rosecraft Beaver Creek Barlow in. That's probably my favorite so far, just because I can just grab the blade since it's sticking out so far and just open it right up. But this isn't too bad. Pop it out, you have a half stop, open it, close. This has, it seems like a much stronger pull than the Briar Patch Jack did, in my opinion. I don't know if it's maybe because it only has one blade and they're able to just kind of focus on that one blade, more as a whole, as opposed to, the Briar Patch Jack having 2 blades. But it definitely feels more suitable. Pops out. You get some nice resounding snaps too, which we'll talk about in the acoustics category. But the pull is pretty decent. It's not the strongest. Again, it's not Jack Wolf level, but and I hate that I have to compare it to Jack Wolf like that, because that's really the only thing that I know and I'm that familiar with. But overall, pretty strong. It's not. I know when you say pull strength, like you say, people compare it to like 6, 7, 8, things like that. I'm not, again, super versed in it, so I hate to give you guys anything like that. But overall, the action is pretty solid, and I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. It's not perfect. I think if maybe I had more to grip onto, it would make my action experience a little bit better. But as far as things go, overall, a very solid action from the Nolichucky Jack. So next up is acoustics. You guys can hear. That's pretty damn solid. It's actually quite good. I really like the way it kind of just, snaps. A little bit more of a solid thud. Snaps. More of a solid thud. I really like the way this sounds. Could it be a little bit more high pitched? Absolutely, but I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5 as well. We're gonna stick with following suit. You get 2 5s in a row, then you get 2 4.5s in a row. Next up, we're gonna talk about ergos, and ergos are very, very good for this knife. Again, it's very thin. It's very, minimalistic. The handle scales have a little bit of a roundness to them, so it adds a little bit of contouring. Everything's rounded off and nicely shaped. There's no sharp part of the blade, or sharp part of the knife, unless you're talking about the blade. I can get all 4 fingers on the knife very, very easily. Again, that thinness just feels super, super good in your hand. Your thumb lands right out here. You, of course, can, not necessarily choking up, but if you, get your pointer finger wrapped up the whole way around this bolster, you can get your thumb the whole way out here if you want to do push cuts. But again, it is a slip joint. So primarily to me, what slip joints, I would use them for really kind of light duty EDC purposes, like really honing in on, you know, mail opening and package opening and just small things, small cuts you need to do. I don't think you're gonna be doing too many push cuts through cardboard with this because, you know, it's of course not a locking knife, but yeah, overall ergos are really, really good, really comfortable, kind of just in that standard hammer grip as well as that saber grip. You know, you can fit all 4 fingers on here, like I said, pretty easily. Very, very comfortable, very thin. You know, it's kind of just like a no frills, you know, but no complaints type of thing. I'm going to give it a 5. Next up is carry. And I'm, you know, now that I'm seeing what I'm writing down, I'm thinking that this is going to be a very, very highly ranked knife in my rating systems. Because carry, it's good as well. You know, what did I say earlier? It comes in at just 3 ounces, which honestly, it's one of those knives where it's substantial in your hand, but then when you get it in pocket, it's like, oh, like I forgot I'm kind of just have a knife in there. Of course, I would probably get a slip for this if I, you know, purchased one of these knives for myself. That's how I carry my Venom Jack. And if I were ever get another slip joint, you know, it would have to come with a slip. I definitely have grown accustomed to liking my slip with my Venom Jack in it. But carries in the pocket very well, just drops down in, kind of free floats in there. Lightweight, you know, it's pretty thin, so if you get it kind of tucked up into your pocket, you really do not know it's there, which is fantastic. But then you reach in and it's there when you need it. So again, kind of just a no frills, you know, nothing too much to write home about. It's lightweight, it's small, you guys know it's pretty thin. So, you know, no issues whatsoever with carrying it. It's getting another 5 out of 5. And that lastly takes me, guys, I'm sorry, I cannot talk today. Blech. Maybe a drink of water will help out. I'm rolling over my words worse than usual. But that leads me to my final category of price point / value / would I recommend this knife. So the Nolichucky Jack on Rosecraft's website, which again will be left in a link down below. It's coming in at $61.99. I think that's a very, very good price for the quality you're getting here. Again, you're getting D2 steel, you're getting vintage moss brown bone handle scales, as well as, you know, stainless steel bolsters with silver nickel pins, the stainless steel rosebud shield, you know, a very, very nice spear point style design, very good ergonomics, very good carry. Overall, this is a very, very solid slip joint. I have really grown accustomed to liking it. And that says a lot because, again, I'm not a huge slip joint guy. I don't tend to gravitate towards, you know, getting slip joints in a lot. But I'm honestly really liking, and this kind of not necessarily a surprise, but it is a little bit of a surprise, I guess, is I've been really liking the, I keep wanting to say Vosti, I apologize, the Rosecraft slip joints. The Briar Patch Jack was okay, but I really have enjoyed this, and the Beaver Creek Barlow I'm also really, really enjoying as well. You know, as far as value goes, the fact that you're getting really good materials for $62, you know, you're supporting, you know, an up-and-coming company. You know, Rosecraft is really starting to, you know, find their niche in, I think, these new, again, quote-unquote, modern traditionals. But, you know, as far as value goes and price point, it's hard for me to not give it a 5 Guys. 5 Guys Burgers and Fries. So no complaints at all there, and I can absolutely recommend this knife. If you are a fan of this styling, you know, and this traditional pattern, absolutely. I think this knife is fantastic. Again, I love that usable blade shape, nice belly and tip out here for slicing and dicing. You know, again, I think it's going to be geared more towards lighter EDC tasks, but overall, great value, and I can recommend this knife every single day and twice on Fridays. I think, again, if you're a fan of the overall design and this pattern, you are going to like it, so 5 out of 5. Let me do some quick math here. It's not going to take me too long because, yeah, did not expect to get this high in my rankings, but it somehow did. The Nolichucky Jack is coming in at a ranking of 34, which lands it in the fantastic category. To put things into consideration, I rated, the Briar Patch Jack as a 30. So the fact that this is 4 whole points more, which is quite a bit in my system, that just shows how much more I like this knife, how much of a good knife this is, and yeah. just a really, really good slip joint, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. So, but I'm going to wrap this up now. So leave a comment down below. Have you guys picked up any of the new Rosecraft slip joints? Do you have the Nolichucky Jack? Do you have the Beaver Creek Barlow? Do you have the Briar Patch Jack? Or maybe one of the ones I have not checked out yet. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, but definitely please leave a comment down below. I love, love, love getting back to you guys. And yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up now, but thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.